Okay, thanks very much for the invitation. Real privilege to be here. I gave a talk last year about more of an introduction to things we're doing in Mexico. There's been a lot happening in the last year, so this is actually going to be more of an update. By the way, in terms of the theme of the session, which is promoting career development amongst imaging scientists, whatever, you guys are so far down the road there. I mean, we basically haven't even started. So there's not a lot I can say about that, apart from the fact that we obviously have to develop it as well in the region. So this is actually, so that's me, and these are collaborators that we have in Uruguay now. So we're actually trying to cement a pan-Latin American collaboration, starting in Uruguay, but stretching out to other countries. So a short recap from Exchange of Experience 3. So who are we? We're the National Microscopy Laboratory, which was founded in 2013. We're in Cuernavaca, which is very close to Mexico City, right in the center. We're part of the National Autonomous University, which is one of the biggest and highest ranked universities in Latin America. And in 2015, we actually opened up a sort of a franchise lab in the biggest teaching hospital in Mexico City. And since last year, in 2018, we opened up another in Ensenada. So to look at the geographical spread, who are we? So that's the UNAM, the National University Laboratory. These are the guys that are working in IMSS, and these are the new lab that's joined into the family, which is in Cincesa, which is right up in the north. So this was the position last year. So we're now up to 10 staff positions with 4 researchers and 6 technicians, 3 temporary technicians and admin. These are paid for with our reach, so what we actually get from the users, and 14 students. So we've got students incorporated at the under and postgraduate levels. So this is all the equipment we've got. So what's happened since last year? What's changed? We now that Ensenada is in there, so you can see. I mean, this is a big distance. You know, we're talking 3 hours in the plane to get from here to here. We've got one more confocal. We've got one more turf microscope. We've got one more spinning disc confocal, and we've now actually got an electron microscope. So that's new. And the other thing that's changed is now our open SPIM is now in service. So you know, we have all of this equipment available. In other news is that we still exist, because in December 2008, a new government took power and the National Laboratory Scheme was supposedly closed. And then in June 2019, the National Laboratory Scheme was revived and strengthened under new priorities to promote inter- and multidisciplinary research nationally, at the national level. So that was, it was kind of an interesting 6 months. But we're still walking. We're still going on ahead. What else have we been up to? So we're now in the process of certifying under ISO 9001. That has now become obligatory for all national and university service laboratories. We have our internal audit for the 16th of October, and the external certifying audit will be probably around January, February time. And I want to be positive, not if, but once we are certified, the National Lab will participate, advise, promote ISO 9001 to other microscopy facilities in Mexico and Latin America. Public communication strategies. So our annual report is now published online and access to the general public, and that's actually been that actually works really well. I'm going to show you what we did. Here we go. So this is a site called Prezi. You can do presentations, so you can put your, let's go up here. This is all publicly available, so you can just click, and we divided it into categories. It's all animated, all looks cool. You know, you can do, say how many, what you got from services, how many hours, this kind of stuff. It all goes through, you know, new equipment and these sort of things. So that actually, we published this on Facebook and Twitter, and we got really strong engagement. We got about 1,000 public hits from just publishing this online. It's really important to do this stuff because, you know, we're all paid by public funds, so pretty much all of us. So, you know, the public has got a right to know what we're doing. So, you know, you try and make it visually attractive, and that worked really well. So if anyone's interested in how to do that, it's pretty easy to set up. Okay. Last year I reported on our low-cost microscope scheme, which was based on a water scope design that was published online by these guys at the University of Cambridge and Bath, between them. And we started printing them off and trying to get them so they use Raspberry Pi and they use webcams. We actually found there were some problems with the robustness. It's difficult keeping the camera attached to the Raspberry, and it's got exposed electronic components. Actually, you can see in one of the photos that it's actually been repaired with a bit of tape. So yeah, we found the same problems. So we redesigned it. We've made it a lot more robust. It's a lot thicker connections, a lot more suitable for use in classrooms and these sort of places. And we've also produced a base for it, which means that the raspberry is all tucked away neat and tidy. It's not exposed anymore, and all the camera cables are more or less tucked in and don't become detached. That's now called a Educascope. So that's we got some funding, we got some seed money from the government for that. So it's going to be packaged, it's not just a microscope, so it's going to be packaged with assembly instructions, activity kits, and integrated with the school curriculum. We got seed money for that, so that enabled us to pay for graphic designers, photographers, programmers, and web designers. The first workshop was held last Friday, and the website is now about 30% complete. It'll be going live before the end of the year. That's an example of one of the activity sheets that we're preparing. That was the workshop we did, so you can see, I mean, we print these in all sorts of funky colours, and it's kind of attractive, and kids like it. So it just comes in a box like that. You have to assemble it. This is the assembly process, and it was amazing. We were there with the school teachers, and the school teachers became like kids again. They were running out. This is an ant. This is a bit of an ant that they found outside in the garden. This was spirulina. They've got a project to grow algae in their school. So it was really great. We got such an amazingly positive response from that. Okay, I do not want to give the idea that we're the only people involved in microscopy in Mexico. Of course, we're not. There's a lot of other centres for microscopy, and one of the challenges over the next few years will be to integrate all these different sites into some kind of coherent national mechanism, which we are in the process of thinking about how to do that. So if there are 50 focals in Mexico, why are they underutilised generally? Why aren't they functional, which means they're sometimes broken, more often not just abandoned or require minor adjustment? Why aren't they accessible? This is lack of knowledge and cultural resistance to open access models, just not familiar with it. And how can we fix this? So this is promote, educate, train, organise, integrate and coordinate, which is all generally human resource issues. So what are we doing to try and take this forward, all these human resource issues? Well, firstly, we're now part of BioImaging North America. This is, Sabina has been consolidating, it's been participating in meetings, in grant applications, it's registering hosts for shadowing training programs, exploring possibilities for direct, in Mexico, exploring possibility for direct collaborations between the National Lab and LOSI, which is all part of the management committee here. And we're actually just programmed a hackathon to evaluate the basis to participate in the next round of Chan Zuckerberg Initiative funding for software initiatives. So yeah, things are starting to move things around between the whole of the region and start collaborating in BINA. So that's a very quick, resume in there. Okay, so last time in the last year, I presented this initiative which we were running with between Andres and Leonel and myself, which was a proposal submitted to the Foreign Relations Ministry to fund collaboration. This is quite important. This is not national science funding money. This is political money. This comes from the foreign ministries, and foreign ministries are now getting interested in Latin America of using science as a way to actually sort of promote, I guess, soft power initiatives, but actually promote influence within the region. So the title there was Building Capacity in Optical Microscopy Towards the Founding of BioImaging Latin America Network. And there was secondary participation between Argentina, Chile and Peru. So where did that actually go? Well, that actually got funded, which was, that hadn't been funded the last time I presented this, and it did get funded. So the proposal title was, well, I've just read that out. So the general objective, directly strengthen institutional academic capacity for light microscopy and promote inclusion of light microscopy in secondary and tertiary education and the productive sector and support establishment of the network. The Latin American Light Microscopy Network, BioImaging Latin America, whatever name you want to give it. It's been funded from 2 years, from April, and one of the first activities was really to a consultancy for establishing a national microscopy laboratory in Uruguay. There's also four different symposia between Mexico and Uruguay that have been, which are on the program, which are a mixture of, directed to a mixture of academic, non-academic and public outreach audiences. The final event, which will be in June 2021 in Montevideo, will be an international meeting on the promotion and integration of bioimaging resources and services in Latin America, and formal founding of the BioImaging Latin America Network, if not before. So that's the date we're working towards. So this was the first activity. It was in May. It was a fact-finding visit to Montevideo. Just a few, I mean, it was just a blitz of meetings all around. It was like a 12-day visit, and we must have programmed about 30 meetings. Saw a lot of microscopes. Saw a lot of people, a lot of the imaging community in Montevideo. It's quite a small community, but it's reasonably well integrated as a base at the start. That produced a consultancy report which was submitted in June of 2019. So the key points of that consultant report were to prepare an executive project to establish a national facility in Uruguay, and for that mainly to seek regional assistance and policy changes at the political level. Start building a consensus for regional organisation of a bioimaging advocacy group between the different countries in the region. And Bioimaging Latin America will be focused on issues that we all know from global, Euro, regional and national bioimaging initiatives. And not so much around the technology, not so much about that, but certainly around all these issues that we're here today discussing. Particularly, we have all the same problems down there. So this is something that Andres sent through. So they're already promoting Bioimaging Latin America as a concept. So at the second National Congress Bioscience Conference two weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, there was a round table with participants invited from Argentina, Chile and Uruguay, where they were discussing these issues about how to promote bioimaging as a more integrated discipline within the region. So what are the next steps to build momentum? Keep pushing the idea of bioimaging Latin America at every opportunity, both to academic and the political communities. Continue building database of microscopy researchers. This is now underway. We're building up a database of microscopy researchers interested in developing the bioimaging themes that we all know in every country in the region. Build a database of regional microscopy centres and laboratories can act as and are willing to register as nodes, and to organise events that promote bioimaging as a crucial ecosystem for scientific research. And it's not just a means to an end. It's not just a means to get results. These are actually ecosystems that support development across a wide scientific spectrum. So I'm going to end there. I'd first like to thank Singerscope, Global BioImaging, and all involved in organising this meeting. Had a bit of time yesterday to do a little bit of wandering around. Had a great time. And sometimes it's just really nice to relax and just get away from microscopy. Just have a day away. Have a day away from microscopy. So I was wandering around Singapore, and I was visiting India, and I was visiting different areas, and I took a sauna, otherwise known as climbing to the top of Fort Canning, which is wow, man, that was warm. And to get away from this incredible heat, I then dove into the National Museum to try and cool down a bit, trying to get, again, a bit of distraction away from microscopy. And what did I find? Projected, this is in the National Museum, and this is Graham Wright guy. I just can't get away from it. It's just everywhere you go, you know, it's just microscopy. So anyway, that was great to see. It's obviously, scientific microscopy is you can actually hear the crowd in the background. Obviously, these kind of public outreach activities where there's clearly a great respect for scientific endeavour here in Singapore, and that was very worthwhile to see. There we go. So just to thank the funders of the National Lab and all the initiatives and the current funding initiatives that we have. Thank you very much.